Hi. Welcome to the talk that's right after lunch. All right, so this is swimming in our own Lakehouse. If you're not here for this talk, feel free to leave, but I hope you're all here for this. So, really quick before we begin, a forward-looking statement. We are from Databricks. We are the internal data platform team, so we do have a forward-looking statement for you all on this, okay? All right, so let's dive right in. I always start with 2 questions before any job. I always ask, why me? Why do you need me? And I always also ask, so how bad is it? It was January 2022, and here I was, offer in hand, to join Databricks as their head of data platform. And to be honest, I was a little bit puzzled. After all, why would Databricks need a data platform team? Databricks makes a data platform. More or less need a data platform leader to lead such a team. I was super excited about so many things, though. I think the industry's we're up and to the right. We're at the right time for data and AI. Every company is becoming a data and AI company. I was super excited about every person that I met. And I was super excited also about the product and where it was going. So my boss, my now boss, had quite the responses to my 2 questions. And by the way, I didn't just ask this to Databricks, I asked this to every job and every company that I ever go to, okay? But my boss had 2 quite quaint responses. So first, so how bad is it? Well, this is a picture of a swamp. He said, we have a data swamp. We don't have a data lake, we have a data swamp. I'm like, tell me more. What do you mean by that? Well, there's no governance, there's no data quality, and we're growing faster than you could ever imagine, and it's chaotic right now. We have a data swamp. We're gonna need to drain the whole thing, we're gonna need to rebuild into Lakehouse architecture, and so forth. And I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. So Databricks should have this really great thing, but today it doesn't. So this was, remember, January 2022. This was also before Unity Catalog, so it was definitely stretching the bounds of what the product was built for at that point in time. And to why me? Why do you need me? He said, you've seen great. You've seen great, and you've worked at hyper growth eras during companies. My name is Bruce Wong. I'm the head of data platform at Databricks. This is Alan Jackoway. He's my #1 tech lead. I will also mention to you, I did not interview Alan. Alan interviewed me, okay? So this is our story. This is our story of how we use Databricks at Databricks. This is our story of where we're going beyond this. And this is also our story of, yes, how we turned a data swamp into a beautiful lake house that functions for the entire company, okay? So really quick on seeing great, a little bit about me. I grew up in my career during the hyper-growth years of Netflix, and I got to see how companies like Netflix and Stitch Fix utilize data and AI across all of their business, all of their functions. And I lead the data platform organization at Databricks. And yes, I have a propensity for red logoed companies. I have way too many red t-shirts, if you can imagine. In the past 3 years, we've also assembled one of the most amazing data platform teams at Databricks. These are the places that we've hired the team from. And these are companies that data and AI is at the center of their businesses. And what we've done is collectively, we've taken the best parts of all the data platforms at these various companies and built them into our data platform at Databricks on top of Databricks. So let's dive in. My forewarning to you all is that this is a very high-level overview of many things. And near the end of the presentation, we actually will go through some additional talks. Our team has almost a dozen talks here at Data AI Summit. So you're going to get the teaser of a lot of the other talks. So we'll go through that so you know where it is. And I'm also going to go at a pretty high level for how different functions use Databricks at the company, because every single team uses Databricks at Databricks. Okay? So first, this is a little bit of business 101. If every team that you could possibly work for maps into one of these three pillars, you're either in research and development, sales and marketing, or a general administrative team, okay? So and I've seen data and AI work in very different ways across these things. So the value proposition is actually a little bit nuanced and a little bit different depending on where you are in the organization. So some of the observations I had. So data and AI is used in R&D to create value. So a lot of this is about how do you have data that's making the product better, okay? In sales and marketing, data and AI is used to connect customers to that value. And in general administrative functions, which is probably some of the most interesting cases here, these are functions like finance, these are functions like HR, these are functions like facilities. Data and AI is used to scale that value, okay? So let's walk through and zoom in a little more. So first off, 3 years ago, my now boss, Sam Shaw, used to always tell us this. This was where we were going. The more you use the product, the better it gets. The more you use the product, the better it gets. This is the data cycle, right? The data life cycle that we think about. And so what does that mean? So first off, at Databricks, all the products that we build, all of the improvements that we make to performance, reliability, everything that we do is experimentation, okay? We measure, we experiment, we have analytics about everything you could imagine, okay? So that's part of our culture. We don't just ship it to production and hope that it's better. We actually measure, did it actually improve the things that we're set out to improve? Or did it make it worse? If it made it worse, we need to roll that back. So that's sort of built into the culture of innovation inside of R&D. These are two examples I'll go through, but like really, if you look at every single thing that we do at the conference, and you're going to hear a whole lot more on the keynote on Wednesday and Thursday about the new innovations that we are releasing, a lot of these are actually powered and built inside of Databricks using Databricks. So first, serverless. We actually use Databricks and we use data and AI to do predictive capacity for serverless, to making sure we have just the right amount of capacity in all the different serverless regions at the right point in time. That's a data and AI model that actually gets built actually I think it gets built every 4 hours actually. Sometimes, for some reasons, we actually build it even faster. And of course, things like AI BI or our Databricks assistants, like those are fine-tuned and those are trained inside of Databricks as we deploy to the back end and stuff. Sales and marketing. I like to divide this world into two camps. So one is about finding new customers that might be interested in using Databricks, and the other is about looking at existing customers and finding opportunities for them to find more value in different parts of the product. So first we have marketing analytics. Our marketing team lives in Databricks. We have, if you're a campaign manager, you have access to all the data you need to monitor and measure your campaigns and your funnel analysis and so forth. That's all inside of Databricks. We also have a customer insights. There's a whole set of dashboards and data around customer insights so that we can have a really deep understanding about how each of our customers is finding value inside the product. And we also do a lot of analysis to figure out what are the right customers for this particular particular new offering, something like Unity Catalog or something like model serving or some of the other things that are coming out, right? So we actually have a good build our understanding of how customers are finding that value, and then we look for like customers who might be very similar, and we use data and AI to help power those insights. And then obviously any new launches that we have, we also, from the very start of those new launches, we're already thinking about what data needs to exist for these new launches to support them. This is my favorite one to talk about, general administrative functions. So things like HR, things like facilities, things like legal, for example. What I like to say here, data and AI is really used to do more with less, okay? So if we have, for example, legal ops uses AI to actually help us with our contracts and our legal, like all of our legal contracts, and facilitate automation through their workflows for those things. We have facilities that actually looks at badge data so that we can have good understanding and forecasting for our growing company and finding more real estate, finding more capacity for things like M&Ms and food, right? So we actually have that actually in Databricks as well. And so a lot of this is about doing more with less. We use Databricks to help orchestrate and automate some of these things. We also use Databricks really heavily to like measure and improve each of these functions and areas. And then lastly, if you all have been in the data industry over the past decade, you all are pretty aware about compliance and governance, given things like privacy and GDPR. So that is also something that we power and automate through Databricks. So, as a recap, data and AI is used to create value, connect customers to that value, and then also scale that value. Now, the interesting thing here is that if we didn't have a data platform team, what we would have done is probably create 3 different data lakes here. But thanks to us having a data platform at Databricks, we build on top of Databricks. We actually have built a lakehouse that supports all the various different needs at the entire company end to end. There's not like 3 different lake houses. There's not 3 different workspaces. There's one place that we build and manage and operate for the entirety of the company. So whether you're in facilities, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in engineering, whether you're in sales, you're all using the same Databricks environment. So I'd like to invite up Alan Jackoway. He's going to take you on the technical deep dive of what this all looks like. And Alan is an amazing, amazing tech lead. One of the big reasons I chose to work at Databricks was actually Alan and my interview with him. Previous to Databricks, he actually was the head of data platform at Cloudera.
Thank you, Bruce. I get to do the history lesson. Let's start with the very first use case for the data team at Databricks, which was multi-region log collection. When one of you has a problem with the Databricks product, you might file a support ticket. That support ticket says, hey, I ran into this issue. It's in AWS US East 1 in workspace number, blah, 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 right? The support engineer who needs to debug your issue goes to what amounts to a little mini data lake, little mini lakehouse that we built in AWS US East 1, and they go and they look at your logs. And then we scale that out across every region that we're running and every cloud that we're running. So it's this truly multi-cloud environment that we've set up so that we can support all the people that are in this room and all the people potentially watching. We then expand that out. So Databricks keeps growing. We add more regions. Tag yourself in this picture. You're probably up here somewhere, or you're in the ... right? This use case is running now in dozens of regions, and it works great for the support use case, right? You go, most support cases really only manage or handle like one cluster and one environment. You don't have to do this big cross-cutting thing, so you can just kind of look at, you know, AWS US East 1, Azure East US. Then, once we've got the customer support angle covered, the immediate next thing we want to do is start moving towards a world where the product works better the more you use it. How do you do that? You need data from the product. But data from the product isn't the same as support data. You don't want a product manager to have to go log in to 30 or 60 workspaces and run the same query and stitch it all together. They're gonna go like totally nuts, be mad at you. So we went through legal process and anonymization and GDPR handling and all the stuff we had to do to basically take product data and safely move it from every region that we're operating in into a single central analytic workspace where the product managers could basically look at it across all the clouds, across all the regions. Then that's the workspace that we start opening up to the rest of the company. So that's the workspace that turns into this central Databricks workspace that everyone at the company has access to. We start adding the business data. We add G&A, we add S&M, we add all of these different departments, and they're all doing different things. And we actually learned pretty quickly that these use cases are like totally different and have totally different needs. So on the regional side, it's a production environment. It's log data. We're not really processing it that much. Like you pretty much just want to see the logs. You're not doing a lot of enrichment. It's really important that it's really running in every region and keeping up so that we can handle high priority cases. But it's mostly engineering and support use cases. And most of those cases, like as we start building product use cases, they're all kind of the same. Everyone wants to process that data a little bit and then do something with it and then put it back into the product. Central is totally different. It's an analytics environment. It's got lots of business data in it from all these different departments. It's got broad access, like literally the whole company has access to this thing. And they're doing complex data enrichments in it, which means that they're taking their data and they're joining it. They're joining up the finance data with the billing data, with the product data to get some new business concept that they're going to use to drive their value. And this is awesome, right? We've got everyone working on this thing. We build this giant workspace. It's like the biggest workspace or a top 3 workspace by any measure you can imagine. And that's wonderful for me. And as you all keep joining and using our product and our company grows, it grows and grows. And all these use cases are bigger. And we run into what I would call the challenge of success. Or actually, I wouldn't call it that because I'm a pessimist. I say a disaster. A disaster occurs, right? And you may be in the audience like, I can't believe I paid money to come to this thing and listen to this person complain about how Databricks grew too much and they had a disaster in their central workspace, right? But the problems that we ran into actually, I think, are pretty instructive because we hear that a lot of customers run into these same things. So instead of a beautiful lakehouse, we have the data swamp. And not just the data swamp, we start talking about how our lakehouse is on fire in the data swamp. Because Databricks has an open data-driven culture. Ooh, sounds great, I want to join. What does that mean? Well, it means everyone shared all of their tables with everyone else at the company, which meant that there were tens of thousands of tables shared with literally the whole company. And anytime you searched for any business concept, if you're looking for like a basic thing like workspaces, you'll find dozens of copies of it, most of which were abandoned months ago. And in those days, we actually didn't really have security on it either, so it's like technically you could delete those people's versions of the table, and while I wouldn't say that was happening a lot, it didn't never happen. You know, it happened every once in a while. So we just have this proliferation of junk and this total mess from a lack of governance in the central environment. On the regional side, the problem that we run into is a little bit different. So this is a simplification of my first few slides. You have all these different clouds feeding into a single central location. But we didn't build a platform. What do I mean by that we didn't build a platform? What I mean is that when the billing team came and they said, hey, I've got lossless billing data. I want to process it and give it to the customers so they know what they're spending money on. We said, that sounds lovely, but you can't do it in our environment because we don't really have a way to safely deploy it for you. And if we did, then anyone who's looking for logs for a customer would also be able to see the billing for that customer and other customers in the region, and that's probably bad. So what did billing do? Well, they did what anyone would do that has a job to get done. They spun up their own whole copy of the thing. They spun up their own set of dozens of regional workspaces across every single cloud and their own centralization and their own deployment and their own cost management and all the stuff that goes along with running an environment like this. And then we repeat it, right? System tables comes around. System tables are awesome. If you haven't used them, highly recommend it. So much better than analyzing your business by using the APIs. But they're trying to basically take all this product data, serve it back to the customers. We couldn't onboard them in our environment. Billing, of course, had to get their stuff together really fast and didn't build a platform, so they can't onboard them. So System Tables builds their own copy of all these regional workspaces and their deployment and their cost management and all the other stuff. And when the security team comes around and they want to start building a SIEM and looking at overall security events within Databricks, well, of course, they're not going to share with anyone. They have to be secure, so they have their own copy of everything. And it's probably kind of obvious to you why this is bad. It's like pretty inefficient. Everyone's repeating themselves. Like there's all these different ways of doing things. But it's actually worse than just that, because these use cases aren't actually independent. Everyone wants to read the billing data, right? Like, of course, the people in the central environment want to see the billing data. Systems Tables is taking product data from the logs and serving some of it back to the customers. And everything's feeding back to security for detection. And then there's like 8 more teams that are in this more box, and they're all sharing, and some of them are regional to regional or central to central, and it's just this big, complicated web. You may be thinking, that won't happen to me. I'm not Databricks. I'm not going to run in 60 regions across 3 clouds. Why would I do that? I don't have to worry about this problem. But actually, when we zoomed in on that central environment, it kind of looked the same to us, right? So sure, people aren't deploying their own workspaces here, but each room in this burning down house was basically its own little mini silo or mini workspace where people were doing things differently. They'd come up with different ways of deploying things using different technology. They all start sharing with each other, sometimes without telling each other, and then they'll break stuff without knowing it, and it just turns into a mess. And that mess happens because we lacked governance, right? How do you add governance to the mix? What's the product solution? Bruce kind of gave you the hint. Who knows what it is? Unity Catalog. Thank you. Someone said it. I appreciate you. Unity Catalog. Unity Catalog solves the fundamental problems that were keeping us from putting governance in the system. On the central side, it makes it possible to have things closed by default and only share things intentionally. So when you make your junk copy of workspaces that you never intend to update, well, you don't share it with anyone. Who cares, right? It's just living in your space. No one's going to see it and accidentally query it. On the regional side, it becomes safe to mix use cases. It's no longer the case that someone going in to look at support data for one customer would be able to see billing data from another customer. You can secure it. But to roll this all out, you need a platform solution. Again, what is a platform? Why do I need a platform? Who are all this platform talk? I thought Databricks was the platform. But when you're rolling out governance, you actually have a lot of decisions to make. It's kind of like I always say, Databricks wasn't made for you, it was made for you. Sorry, that's a little confusing. I knew I was presenting this in California, which meant I had to translate my slides a little bit. Where I live, we have a lot more options on how to make this slide because I live where there's a lot of different second-person plural pronouns. And when I go to Atlanta for a road tour, I'll just say, Databricks wasn't made for you, it was made for y'all. I have been trying to get the product teams to make their quarterly goals make Alan happy for years. And they won't do it because they don't want to make me happy. They also want to make a bank happy, and a healthcare company happy, and a retail company happy, and a tiny startup happy. The Databricks product and the Databricks platform is not inherently made for your use case. Your job, or the job of your platform team, is to customize it for your users. You have all these choices to make, like what's a schema, what's a workspace, how do I let people share, right? These are all decision points that you have to make. But the reason that you want to build a platform team and centralize some of this work actually goes further than that. Without a platform team, you're at risk of doing what we did with Unity Catalog, the solution to all of our problems. You just slap it on the existing mess, and you say, hey, look, we solved it. We've got Unity Catalog. Well, probably not. The mess is still there. It just has a little more security over top of it. And this actually will repeat over and over. Like, we have to add IPs to the VPN. Someone comes to me. I need more IPs for the VPN. How do I make sure I'm not going to break people using data at Databricks? No problem. You talk to me, I'll fix the box in the upper left corner, and then you talk to 12 other people, and they'll fix their boxes, and hopefully you get them all, because if you roll it out without talking to them, you've broken their thing. Whoops, it's terrible, right? There's also just a lot of common stuff that platformizing will help you with, right? Everyone needs deployment. One of the boxes in that more section that I didn't expand is the search team. The search team wants to look over query patterns and table usage so that when you search for a table, they can surface the most popular ones first, because they're probably the best ones. They did that in a whole set of regional workspaces. They got stuck building their own deployment. They didn't want to build their own deployment. They're not a deployment team. They're a search team. But they got stuck doing it. They would have been thrilled if someone gave them a platform solution that they could just reuse. And that repeats over and over. Like, cost management is something every team that's building data applications has to think about. But it's not really that different for different users at your company. Like, you can centralize and reuse a lot of the cost management in one place. When you get to things like security and compliance, it actually is even more important, because security and compliance are super complex domains where you really want to hire like a small number of specialists and have them work with your platform team, because what you don't want to do is have 12 different regional environments all independently trying to implement GDPR and get it right. When you do that, you greatly raise your chance that one of these teams is going to do it wrong and fall out of GDPR compliance, and now all of a sudden you get to use the best sticker that is in the Microsoft Teams library. You have to modify it a little because they're more worried about getting sued than fined by the EU. But the point is, it's just a little dangerous. Like, you want to have compliance centralized in a team of experts worked on a platform level across your entire company, because it's just too difficult to get it right. Okay. Hopefully I've convinced you a little bit. You need the leverage to roll these things out company-wide. How do you get that leverage? You get it by indirection. What do I mean by indirection? Databricks gives you some of it out of the box. If you are using serverless and DLT, you're probably not thinking much about instance types and Spark versions and some of this other stuff that the classic product of Databricks makes you worry about, and that becomes harder and harder as you get into multi-cloud environments. You could kind of argue that Delta and Iceberg and just like the general table interface is a layer of abstraction that lets you write your code against tables, right? You're not thinking about Parquet and CSV and the way that you're parsing things apart. You just say, oh yeah, there's this table, it's backed by something, I don't know, right? That's a level of abstraction. But you actually want another layer of abstraction beyond just what our product will give you. And you want that because they told me they can't pause the recording, so I'm just going to kind of whisper this part. Because if you do it right, it makes it easy to leave Databricks. You don't want people building directly on the underlying platform. If you abstract them to the thing that matters to your company, you can switch out the back end underneath them without them knowing. That's the dream, the vision of building a platform like this. Okay, not going to talk about things that will get me in trouble anymore. Let's talk more about the things that we built that we needed our platform for. Remember those first slides, all that multi-region orchestration? This is what we want it to look like. This is what we are building as its replacement and our platform for regional workloads. You might notice what's missing in this picture: the cloud icons. We don't actually want teams that are running workloads regionally to care what cloud they're running in. They know that they want to run in every region that Databricks operates in. They know they want to run in every cloud. We don't want them to have to think about, oh, well, in Google I do it like this, and in Azure I do it like that. That's overhead for them. They want to think about input, transformation, which is the part they usually actually care about, and then the output. That's it. And then we abstract the rest of it away from them on a platform level. And this is what we're doing for all those regional use cases now. In Central, where we have more different users, we have more platforms. So everyone needs, right, we want to get sales in, finance, facilities, all this stuff Bruce was talking about at the beginning. That's all third-party data. We have an abstracted layer for third-party data that lets us basically switch out the implementation for fetching that data from SaaS tools, from custom code to Lakeflow Connect to partner tools to whatever, without the people that actually use the data caring what that implementation looks like. And by abstracting it away into a single tool, single platform solution, we also can apply common things like data classification and redaction that all of these data sets need in a common way across them, right? And same with attribute-based access control. Access control is the same for all of them because we built a single platform to bring in all of this third-party data. Remember all those complicated business enrichments? We have the metric store. Metric store basically lets you define business metrics and common roll-ups and common dimensions and reuse them across the company from a single source of truth. So instead of, this one department has DBUs by product line and cloud as one table, and this other department has workspaces, but it's got 1,000 columns, and you have to write the query just right, or the data that you get back is wrong. You've probably all lived out these different things. Everyone comes in here. When we add a new dimension, it can be split on all the metrics that are eligible for it automatically without having to think so much about how to make that work for your users. But it doesn't fit absolutely every use case. Some of the product use cases have really complex things. They don't want to split on the common dimensions. Product people, some of them really care what language you're in. Some of them really don't care. So everyone has a kind of different thing they're worried about. We built a different platform just for the product people to pull data in from all the different usage sources, kind of combine it and mix it together without duplicating it, and then feed it back into their reports. And then to make sure the data is all good and we don't drop back into a world where everything is a mess, we built another little platform just for quality. Right? So we basically score every single table. We say, hey, your table looks good. Hey, this table could improve in the following ways. And you can combine this with Unity Catalog to say, actually, you can't share data with the whole company if you don't hit this threshold. Go add comments to your table. Right? OK. I've been having a lot of fun. I hope you've been having a lot of fun. But I've talked for 20 minutes, and I want to get invited back, which means we have to talk about AI. Because I have not talked about AI at all. Everything I just talked about is just on the data side. And that's because we're kind of telling the history, and we've done most of the work on the data side. But you believe AI is the future, right? You're here at Data and AI Summit. Surely you believe that. How do you set yourself up for an AI future? Unfortunately, there's a lot of uncertainty. But we think there are some things we know. And one critical thing is that AI needs data. If you don't have good data to feed into your AI systems, you're just back in the world of garbage in, garbage out. So all these investments in a semantic layer like metric store, in your third-party ingestion, in your PII scanning and redaction, these things pay off in the AI era too. You need them as input for whatever magical AI things you're going to build next. We also see that the technical and regulatory environment is changing, right? I'm sure a bunch of you lived through GDPR. Did you enjoy it? Are you looking forward to doing it a bunch more times over the next couple years as different countries roll out their version of GDPR for AI? You want to concentrate that into a platform team so that you don't have a bunch of organizations all racing around to respond as each country rolls out their regulations. I think that's coming. I don't know when, but I think it's coming. On the technical side, you basically just need to make sure that you can evolve at the speed that the overall AI environment is evolving in. And that's very quick, right? I think, personally, I will admit, I don't really know where it's going. Probably most of you don't know where it's going either. Maybe some of you do. Maybe some of you are startup founders, and you just came to this talk so that you could learn what Bruce and I look like, and you can go ask us for money later. That's fine. We'll be out there. But most of you probably have real jobs where you're not just going to take Bruce and my money and burn it on H100s or whatever. So you're trying to get done something for your business. And you just need the AI tools to work and work as well as they can. That means you don't want your company to be investing in a bunch of AI PhDs who are trying to build the absolute best thing only to see it eclipsed in a month later by something that's 100 times cheaper. Let that be Databricks' problem, right? Or whoever, but it should be Databricks, right? Use the data platform and make sure you choose a data platform that's going to keep evolving with the environment. Your team's job is to customize for your business. That's the job of your data platform team and our data platform team for Databricks. We think you need to do that quickly because we think data grows really fast. This is a slide we've been using for finance to explain that our costs tend to grow faster than the company because as you keep hiring people, if you're data-driven, they're doing more analysis and rolling out new features that give you more data per customer. It grows even faster. And with AI agents entering the mix, all of a sudden each employee that you hire has like an army of little minions who are going to roll things out even faster. And we're going to have to add another line to this chart and show it growing even quicker. So a quick recap, so we're a little short on time. What do you need to do? We think you need to choose a platform that evolves with the environment. We think it should be Databricks, obviously. We're biased. I don't know what to tell you. What you need to build your platform and customize it for what's important for your use cases. For us, that's regional workloads. We really care about regional data. Maybe for you, it's user personalization. It's going to be different for every company and every one of you sitting in the room. And then finally, we think you need to do it soon before you wind up in some tangled mess of multi-cloud architectures with AI agents running amok, causing trouble. To learn more about how to do that, I'm going to hand it back to Bruce to talk about our other talks.
All right, thanks, Alan. So first, I want to give you some thoughts on the future. We've been thinking and working on this a lot. And data platform's role, this is my prediction for data platform's role in the agentic future. Today, we had to do a tremendous amount to keep our Lakehouse clean and well-governed for about 8,000 people and about 100,000 tables. Now, in the agentic future, when everyone at the company is using AI, they might have 5 or 10 or maybe even more number of AI agents that they're directing. How do we think about the governance and our data governance in a world where there's 100,000 agents that are operating autonomously inside of your data lake, right? So I like to say sometimes you can get away with humans because they'll look at top 10 and they'll see this is the thing I'm looking for. With an agent, they're going to look at all 10 or they're going to look at all 100, okay? So I think the data platform team and role and your data platform technology is probably going to be one of the most important things that you invest in the AI future, in the agentic future. So a couple things. If you liked me and Alan's talk, our team is here at Data AI Summit, and we've got a number of different talks. So we had one on multi-cloud. There's a much deeper dive on multi-cloud. There's a much deeper dive on how we use Lakeflow and build our ingestion platform. Later today, around here, we also have one about how we built Unity Catalog. So a zoomed in picture on that central analytics workspace and how we organize our catalogs. We also have one about that support use case and how we did advanced access control over an exabyte of data. And then lastly, we also have our SIEM team here that built our SIEM on top of Databricks and how that actually works and functions as well. If you want to hear me speak again, I will be doing a talk on cost optimization and how to save you all some money. That'll be on Wednesday. And then you heard a little bit about our metric store. There's an entire talk of how we built our metric store at Databricks. And it talks about metric views as well and how you'll be able to use that. So we have a really quick closing slide for you. This is thanks to Gen AI, and we definitely appreciate you coming. So first off, may your data be clean.
May your catalogs be organized.
May your workspaces be secure.
May your data be fresh.
May your data pipelines be acyclic.
May your clusters be quick.
May your insights be actionable.
May your models be predictive.
May your queries run efficiently.
May your AI hallucinations be minimal.
May your Lakehouse be the light that guides you.
And may your data platform team be empowered and unleashed.
Thank you all.
Thank you.